So how to speak about this? Ibn Arabi was the master of speaking about it, but it's very not easy to speak about it even for him. So
I
please.
I don't know where to start with this, but it's sort of like, well, what's the purpose of the synchronicity then? And then from a non-dual perspective, it doesn't really make much sense, or unless there's some sort of self-awareness that inspires, and who's telling what to whom, and
Right.
But I think even on the individual level, it's like, I don't know, it's just these moments that get one to stop and go, or
Right.
maybe that. I mean, and it could be in other things, seeing something extraordinarily beautiful or something, but it just, and there's this sort of a impulse behind it.
Well,
it actually has a sense of humor too. That's actually one of the things I find.
Most definitely, it's right at the center of it. Yeah, it's a joke of it. I think, okay, so let's talk about this. This is good. I think it's important to examine the idea of purpose. When we get to the place where we're talking about manifestation or the many arising, or the appearance of many arising in the midst of that which is beyond appearances, then words like purpose have to be repurposed. We will get to the purpose from the dualistic vision first. But see, the thing about Arabi, if you ask about Arabi, he doesn't start there. He doesn't start there. He starts, when he speaks about it, about the purpose at the level of the unmanifest God. So one of the ways he's talked about it, and one of the ways he's approached it, is by this story. And if I remember correctly, he has all kinds of caveats, all kinds of warnings about this story. He says, look, this is a metaphor, this is a parable, it's not really quite like this, but this is the truth. Something like that. The unmanifest, unknowable, beyond our mind emptiness, empty, unknowable God, beyond thought, beyond manifestation, contains infinite potentiality in infinite seed forms. Now, he doesn't use that words either. He calls it infinite names. He might use the word potentiality, but infinite names. So you're getting the Krishna version, try to make it understandable. Names is a little problematic because why names? There's a reason for that, and I'll talk about it later. But let's just talk about infinite potentiality in emptiness. Seed that's not sprouted. And that potentiality yearns to be seen, yearns to be seen, yearns to be known. And it's in the unmanifest, the unknowable God. And it's, it's almost like a pregnancy. It's full, and it yearns to be known. And the unmanifest God can feel all that yearning of all that potential that wants to be seen and known. So the unmanifest God sighs in compassion, like, oh my sweets, oh my, out of love, out of compassion for all that unmanifest potential, all those seeds, all of that. And the word sigh in Arabic is the same as the word breath, and it's also the same as the word wind, and it's also the same as the word spirit, just as it is in Greek and just as it is in Hebrew. So the sigh. That sigh touches all the potential and enlivens it so that it can be manifest. So there's infinite potential, infinite little potentialities, you could say, infinite, just if we're going to have an image, just infinite potentialities, infinite sparkles of possibilities, infinite building blocks, infinite qualities, call them qualities. It's that abstract. They're building blocks because they're just qualities. They're not even actually things. They're potentials. And like I like to think of it this way, like when I was a kid, there was something called Spumoni ice cream. Now they could be much more sophisticated, but he's sort of red, white, and was what is it? Strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate ice cream. And if somebody, if you ask for a scoop, somebody would scoop it, and each person's scoop would be a little different because you get a little different ratio of those three, right? It's oh, I got a lot of strawberry this time. I got a lot of chocolate this time. But you always get all three. Well, imagine there's infinite potentiality. And there's a scoop that comes out, and each of them has a different ratio of potentialities. Each scoop. So the way in which these potentialities come into being, they come into being as a scoop, as a sphere of unique, and none of the scoops are the same. They're all a little bit different potentialities, a different mix. And kind of like the planet Earth, they have two poles. One pole is what you would call maybe a sentient being, or the awareness of a being, a sentient being. Awareness, like a soul nature, an awareness of your awareness, a person, their sentient being. So that, let's say, is the South Pole. The North Pole is the awareness of the world of that sentient being, the soul of the world of that sentient being. So what is that world? That's a unique world. Remember what we said? Everybody's a sealed mystery. Nobody knows what it's like to be you. Well, you literally live in your own world. Literally. Not metaphorically, literally. If you want, in this understanding. That is to say, nobody experiences the world that you live in. Visually, you see through your own eyes. Nobody else sees your own eyes with those senses of the eyes. Hearing-wise, nobody hears through your ears. Sensation-wise, nobody senses through your body. And then, of course, there's your unique thoughts and emotions. All of these, of course, are like a fountain. Like your thoughts are never the same, your sensations are never the same, the sounds are never the same. The senses change too, but more slowly. Your ears' capacities change. Your eyes' visual sight changes. Even the way that you focus changes over time. When you're a child, you don't focus the same way when you're an infant visually. There's still some visual input, but it's not the same. It changes over time. That's more slowly, but the objects arising in the visual field change continuously. The objects arising in all the sense fields change continuously. The emotions change continuously. The thoughts change continuously. So you yourself are a flow. There's no doubt, but there is a particular position, you could say, or a point of view that you have. If we're going to talk about you, which we're very comfortable talking about you because we all do that, we talk about you and me. So the me is the pole of seeing a unique world. You see a unique world, and on the other side of that unique world is also another pole, an intelligence, the soul of your world, a world soul. You and that other intelligence are like what they call they used to call Siamese twins. They now call conjoined twins. We share our being with a unique intelligence that's can speak directly to you if you care to contact it. The thing about the soul of your world is that it is still in contact with the energetic dimension that is closer to the pure potentiality. And actually, you could trace back emanation from that intelligence to directly into the field, what we usually call the goddess or the potential. I mean, he actually outlines it kind of like before those spheres or those sentient beings are there, they all exist together in this cloud. So that's the very first way of manifestation, in this cloud of potential that's manifest but not singular. It's in harmony with all the other potential, but it's now manifest in some way, not as gross matter, but as an energetic field, as a cloud of being. And then the manifestation of gross matter happens through this kind of polarity. This is the Krishna understanding of it, the Krishna way of talking about it. Okay, it's not divorced from all the scholars and Ibn Arabi's thing. I'm not just making it out whole cloth, but like I said, his teaching is profound and beyond. Like other people will, your details, your mileage will vary depending on who you are in terms of understanding Ibn Arabi. But so what is it that's happening with those synchronicities is that you are in touch with the angel of the world that you live in, your own holy guardian angel, your own higher soul nature. Because it's not really separate from you, but it is in some way. It's the pole, and it is actually your eternal companion. Always knows who you are, and in your you could say unfolding into connectedness with the world, you are actually in communion with that one. You're in communion with that one, no matter what teacher or deity or whatever you use, because in the world you have like for instance, when I said my mother turned on the radio and it spoke to me, that soul of the world can use. It's kind of like a benign version of what happened in the Matrix when suddenly, I don't know if you've seen the movie. Everybody's seen the movie Matrix. No, maybe not. Yes, we had the bad version where those agents with the black glasses would just morph into any character that Neo came into contact and fight him. It's the opposite. It's like as if there was a benign intelligence on the other side of the Matrix that wanted to contact you and love you, and would morph into any of the people. And not only people, could actually be the truck talking to you. It could be anything, a book, just because it is everything. Because the soul of the world is the world. It is the world that you're in communion with. So spiritual development at that level, you could say at that in that you could say level, but it's dimension. Spiritual level, spiritual development in that dimension is about opening up to be in relationship to your holy guardian angel, and or your Holy Spirit angel, or your Ishtadevata, which is like your chosen deity, or your Yidam, which is like a sacred, um, it is another way of saying your chosen deity, but it's in Tibetan, I think it's more like your sacred template, um, or sometimes called mind mold. But it's like a template. It's like your desire, without knowing it, is to expand and actually embody that one. And so the mystic language of devotion is to open your heart to the deity, whether it's Jesus or Krishna or Shiva or Padmasambhava or whatever, and to be in communion and actually become one with and embody them, to put on the mind of Christ, to become embodiment of Jesus Christ, to become an embodiment of the of Kuan Yin, to become an embodiment of Padmasambhava, to become an embodiment of your holy guardian angel, because it's your other self. It isn't really separate from you at all. And at this level, and this is understood in this vision, even the word Jesus, even the word or the image Jesus or Padmasambhava is unique to you. Nobody else really knows the Jesus that you do. And that's why the word Jesus, for some people, no, for me, it's Buddha. But even then, Buddha is just, nobody knows the Buddha that you do. And only that higher self knows our total experience, because it's inseparable from us, because it is the other pole. It is our conjoined twin. It is the dimension of us that's still in contact with the cloud of being, with the goddess level of energy, in which it's all connected. Part of the reason this spoke to me so loudly too is because when I was very young, like 4 and 5, I had I can't remember whether it was 3 or 4 or 2 or 3. I had a number of experiences. It was more than one for sure. It's probably 3 of going into what later on I read was, okay, this Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman. They have words for it in India, but it's basically formless emptiness, and then followed by the experience of what Ibn Arabi calls the cloud. I was a dimension in which I was, but I wasn't myself. I was a pure energy, and I was in communion with a huge, infinite cloud of multiplicity. It felt like a huge crowd in perfect harmony, like absolute love. But it had so much otherness in it, but the otherness was like absolute family, like no conflict, just absolute love. It was wordless, and it stuck with me when I came out as a kind of hangover of bliss that I was just, it would just was all enthralling. And I knew my father had I couldn't even open my mouth about it. So to hear Ibn Arabi talk about that cloud, I was like, and I've been wanting to contact that my whole life. This is where the synchronicities lead to. So at the level of the individual, the purpose is to embody that larger being, because that larger being, that one, is living still in the cloud. It's like as if it's in communion with that larger cloud, and with his eyes, it's facing you. It is still an energetic being. It did not become a gross manifestation like we did, but it is an absolute compassion, resonance, love, identity with us, because we're its manifest form. And it is the energetic manifestation of the formless infinite one. You could say it's a to use more language, tantric language like Kashmir Shaivism or any of the Shakta traditions. It's a manifestation of the goddess who is still in communion with the goddess, who is in communion with Shiva. And that manifestation of the goddess is emanating as us and always wants to commune with us. And any moment we will give it our attention. And any moment we will consider the world we live in as a way in which to contact her or it or him.